You want to fix your slice. Well, stick around for this video because I'm going to be explaining to you why you slice the golf ball, a key component I see so often with golfers that causes them to slice the golf ball, and of course I'm going to show you how to fix it. So let's get into it. So let's start with the why. Why do you slice the golf ball? Now, let's be clear on this. The reason we slice the golf ball, i.e. see the ball curve from left to right for a right-hander, is because the club face is open relative to the path that the club is swinging on. And I've got TrackMan set up here just to demonstrate this. So I've got club path on the left-hand side, the face angle, and then face to path, which is the relationship between the two. So slices, the issue is that the club face is open relative to the path. That's why we see this positive number here on TrackMan. That indicates that the face was pointing to the right of the path of the club. Now, with slicers, a lot of the time it depends on where that relationship is orientated that's going to change the kind of slice you see. So that one I've just hit there, because the path was 0 and the face was open, we see the ball start to the right and then curve further right. That's what I would call a push slice. Now that relationship between the face and the path is what's curving the ball to the right-hand side. But if I were to take that relationship and shift it further to the left, we start to see a different shot shape and essentially a proper slice. So if I move that open club face to path, but everything more to the left, you can see now the ball has actually started down the left-hand side and then is over curving to the right. So that would be kind of your classic slice, whereas the one before where it starts right and goes right is more of a push slice. So there are different kinds of slices, as it were, and that's quite important to understand because many golfers assume when they slice the golf ball, it means they must be coming over the top. That's not necessarily the case. You can slice the ball, as it were, see the ball curve off to the right, even without coming over the top. So we understand that the reason you would slice the golf ball is because the face is open to the path. That means before we do anything else, the first thing we need to do is we need to get that club face more square to, if not closing, relative to the path. So where do we start when it comes to face control? We're going to start with the grip, so how we hold the golf club. Now, this is kind of the aforementioned, most people have already spoken about this in terms of if you have a weak grip, you are going to struggle with leaving the face open. And so just to quickly define a weak grip, for a right-hander, that would be a situation where both hands are turned essentially too far to the lead side or the left side of the club, like so. So you can think of it as the thumbs are too far down the lead side of the grip. Now, when we do this position with the hands, if we have a look at how my hands hang naturally, we can see that they're naturally turned inwards towards my body. If I were to position my hands twisted over on the grip in that weak manner, that means that as I return to impact, they're likely going to want to open the club face, twist this way as they go back to their natural hanging position, meaning I'm opening up the club face. So of course, when it comes to fixing the slice, the first thing we want to double check is the grip. So how are we placing our hands on the club? And so from me, from a neutral point of view, my definition of a neutral grip would be looking from a face-on view with the camera. I would want to see a scenario where the thumb and the palm are connected. They are touching like so, no separation. And the thumb is placed more towards the trail side of the grip like so. So it's more to the right of the Golf Pride logo you can see on my driver there. By doing this, from a player point of view, looking down from setup position, you should be able to see two knuckles, the index finger and the middle finger knuckle. You'll also notice when you do this, you put the club more through the fingers of your lead hand, and you'll get the heel pad of your lead hand sitting more on top of the club. These things here are going to help us control the club a little bit more, but mainly going to allow us to shut the club face and release the face more, shutting the club face relative to the path. From the trail hand, what I want to see now is that the trail hand comes in with the fleshy part of the right hand, so the meat of your right hand if you like, going on top of that lead hand thumb. So from a player's point of view looking down, you should be able to see the right index finger knuckle. Again, thumb and palm are sitting together. This is how I would position what I call a neutral grip. So this is a grip that is going to allow us or encourage us to be able to shut the club face. But having done this, there are many golfers out there who have actually already got a neutral, if not even a strong grip, where they actually put things really farther down the trail side of the club and still struggle with the club face opening up. So this is the key piece we're going to go into now as to why golfers can still struggle with a slice even if they've got their grip dialed in. So we've looked at the grip, we've looked at how we've positioned the hands on the club, but there is another piece that comes with the grip that is often overlooked, and that is to do with how we align the arms, and I refer to this simply as arm alignments. So if we have a look at my arms in a hanging position like so, we can see that my elbow crease on both arms is slightly turned inwards towards my body. Now the movements we have available here, we have essentially external rotation of at the shoulder joint. So for the arm, that would just be the elbow crease for the right and the left moving outwards away from the body. And then we have internal rotation where they would move inwards, elbow crease more towards the middle of the body, like so. Now, a lot of golfers who get their grip in a good position, but still slice the golf ball, leave the face open, what I'll often see is that they have their lead arm externally rotated like so, so that the elbow crease is pointing outwards, or if you like, towards the camera. And despite having this stronger grip, the issue is that this is almost like a forced position through the lead arm. So if I were to allow this arm to now relax into its, let's say, natural hanging position, you can see now how that twists the club face open relative to target, and in turn during the swing typically relative to path. So despite having a strong grip, the weak arm alignment means I'm likely to leave the face open as I come through impact. If we look at it on the trail arm, typically when you see that lead arm externally rotated, we're going to see the trail arm internally rotated. That then in turn, even if I've got, let's say, a stronger grip but internal rotation through that trail arm, that's more votes for wanting to twist and leave the club face open as we come into impact. So even if you look like you've got a strong grip on the club, your arm alignments can actually be leading to you opening the club face as you come into impact, causing the horrible slice. I'm just going to show you a quick example here of having, let's say, a strong grip, but the arm alignment's out of position. So lead hand is turned well over to the trail side. Trail hand is turned well over to the trail side, so we would call this a strong grip. But I'm then going to adjust my arm alignments so that I get the left arm externally rotated, elbow crease towards the camera, and the right arm internally rotated, so elbow crease pointing more towards the middle of my body. I'm then going to hit shot from there. I'm going to see the outcome. So you can see, even though I had a strong grip on it, I've still left the face wide open relative to the club path, meaning I still get that horrible slice. Now, when you have that scenario, this is where over the top will typically come from. Because if we are setting up in a way that we are likely to leave the face open because of the arm alignment issue, the movement to try and shut the club face is usually one of rotating too quickly from the upper body, sending the trail shoulder, the right shoulder out and over, which creates the over the top motion. The over the top is you attempting to try and shut the club face because the ball keeps going right. Unfortunately, all it does is shift the path further left, starts it further left, but then you still see that horrible carving slice over to the right hand side. So this is why it's really important to ensure that you've got the correct attachments on the club in terms of not only the grip but the arm alignments, to ensure you're able to shut the club face as you come into delivery, so you don't have to use the upper body to try and rip everything around and stop the ball going to the right hand side. So then, how should we position the arms if we want to start eliminating that slice issue? Well, for most slicers, I would recommend that with your lead arm, you start to have this internally rotated more. In other words, get your elbow crease pointing more towards the midline of your body, so the middle of your body. By doing that, you'll notice that the whole arm then starts to turn inwards, and I can actually pretty much create a neutral / stronger grip anyway, just from the positioning of the lead arm. If I then take the trail arm and move it into what I like to call the giving blood position, i.e. I'm externally rotating it, so the elbow crease is pointing more towards the camera. Again, you'll see I typically put on a bit of a stronger grip through my trail hand, like so. So the key here is that now, if I allow my arms to relax and go into that natural hanging position, just watch what the club face does. Club face now shuts. So I'm essentially adding in an automatic closing piece to the golf swing, which of course is going to be massive if I am slicing the golf ball. By adding that in, it's going to give me an easier time of being able to actually shut the club face on the way through relative to target and to the path, meaning I start reducing how much I'm slicing the golf ball. Just give you a quick example here of what we get when we start getting those arm alignments correct. So once again, the idea of the lead arm being more internally rotated, elbow crease towards the midline of the body, and the trail arm more externally rotated, elbow crease more towards the camera, and still double checking that the references of the grip we spoke about earlier are in place. So we've got both the arms, the elbows, and the hand position correct. So you can start to see that I've flipped the face to path relationship, actually getting into the negatives, meaning that ball is going to want to curve to the left hand side now. Ultimately, eliminating the slice. And now this is something that's really important to understand, especially if you are an over-the-top slicer. Your over-the-top movement is you trying to get the ball to go further to the left, ultimately shifting the path and the open face-to-path relationship further left, causing more of a pull slice. You'll be surprised how when you get these arm alignments in the correct position, along with the grip alignments as well, how quickly you can actually start to reduce the over-the-top, because now you have a club face that's already wanting to close on the way through. You don't need to add in this out and over movement to try and get the ball further down the left hand side. Just changing this arm alignments, I've seen many golfers stop going over the top within 1-2 swings, because immediately that ball actually wants to go left, which means we don't need to add in that over the top movement anymore, meaning that you get the club more on plane and start hitting more of the draw that you'd be after. So there we have it. There's the reason you slice the golf ball. One of the key things that I see that causes people to slice the golf ball, as well as how you can fix it through just changing your arm alignments and your grip on the club. If you found this useful, guys, please hit like and subscribe. And if you're looking for more detailed help with your game, more specific help with your game, be sure to head to hwgolf.co.uk, where you can see my coaching offerings, both in person and online. And you can even grab yourself a free swing analysis where I will break down your swing for you and tell you what key movements you need to work on to start improving your golf. I'll see you in the next video.